Hello everyone, how you doing? Danny here. Well, for right now, this will be the last video that I'm going to do on this small little series of segments I've been doing, telling you things that you did not know, because I didn't tell you. And I hope so far you like what I've been talking about, okay? And between you and me, everything I've been telling you is the absolute God's truth, okay? So, I was thinking which one I could whip on you now, and I came up with a choice of a particular place that's about 350, 360 miles from where I'm at right now in this point of the Sierra Mountains, which would have been one of the highest points in the Cascade, okay? Highest elevations. And it became pretty obvious to Garland and I that they were very aware of exactly what was going on at those particular time periods, and also I probably suspect they may have known even earlier than that. It was just a fact that they did not know what they were dealing with, like I have said previously in one of the videos I put up. So the only one that had a semi-clue was, of course, a fellow named Dr. Miller. And which he was the creator of what they call the Miller Letter. Now, but even as educated as he was baffled himself. He didn't really have a clue exactly what they were, where they came from, where the origins were, and so forth. And so there's this one place on that side of the Sierra Mountains, and it's a historical place on top of that. It's a particular place that's not too many people have probably heard of it, and definitely not too many people even know where it's at. As I was doing really deep research, I came across a very interesting story where in this one vicinity there was a very, very large group of these hominin hybrids that dwelled there. And I mean a large group, probably the largest group that's probably been recorded. And they've been there for millenniums. Now, at that time period, so I'm going to take you back to about 1851, the gold rush. And there's an area where the South Fork American River flows through. And at that time period, the miners were doing a lot of mining on this side of the river. Now, a few miners got into that vicinity and it was too overcrowded too many strikes were already committed to other miners. They decided that there had to be a way to get across to the river to get to the other side, which in those days was almost impossible. But these guys back then, I mean, these were like men that they just don't make anymore. I mean, they had a whole lot of big cojones and a hell of a backbone, and they weren't afraid to take chances. And of course, that yellow gold creates a hell of a gold fever. People do things that normally they probably wouldn't do anyway. So, anywho, they found a way to get across the river. And it was very dangerous, and of course, quite a few of them lost their lives. They lost equipment, supplies, they lost some lost pack mules, they lost their wagons, so they took quite of a loss to get to the other side. When they got to the other side is the area where this extremely large group was dwelling, or what you would like to be referred to as Sasquatch. And they found this one particular area they got to, and guess what? They found gold. They hit a gold strike. So now they had their own little mine they could do now. This small group of miners. So, and what happened is it created a mining town. Now this one here was a very small mining town. In fact, it was the smallest mining town in that time period. It was small, hell of a lot smaller than Deadwood. And yes, we did have a Deadwood up here. and on this side, of the South Fork, it was a lot smaller of a mining camp. And they decided to call this place Last Chance. Now, they called it Last Chance too because once you got past that point, if you went in any further, there ain't nothing out there. I mean, it was just all pure raw wilderness, and it hasn't even been explored in that area yet. People didn't push the gauntlet at that time. That was the last place they would stop at. So, I know there was no way in hell they could not have had interactions with this very large group of these hominin hybrids. Matter of fact, they had to. Some did, in their own writings and memoirs, said they did see certain things that appeared to be, maybe look like a appearance of a bear, for the exception, because they were all covered in hair, for the exception they were twice the size, and these guys were walking strictly upright. And so, not much was really said. A lot of people kind of kept it to themselves, you know. At that time period, you start talking about these kind of creatures, and you know, they'll say they look like monsters, whatever. Well, you know, they're going to think you're nuts and you're crazy. And so they just kept a lot of things to themselves. Me and G decided one day that we wanted to keep getting further out and get away from being followed and spied on. And at that, so we ventured out further, and I wanted to know exactly what what Last Chance was really all about. So what I did is I went to the local ranger station, which I knew all the rangers. And of course they had the old maps. that were made back in the 1800s, especially during the gold rush days. And so I asked him, we got a conversation about if they had any old maps on Last Chance. And to my surprise, they did. And there was one gal I knew there, and she was head of that department. She was the head of in minerals and the old maps, such like that. And because what it is, if you knew where Last Chance even was, which not many do, period. And throughout the years, 100-something odd years went by, so everything changes, geology-wise, the geographics of it. A lot of foliage comes and grows and grows and grows, so it hides everything, covers it up. There was one main trail, now you can't see it. Only if you had access to a map that would point where it was at, the original trail. And so we studied the map while we were at the ranger station, and we found the trail. Okay, that's all me and Garland wanted to know. So we went on our way. Now, we went up there a couple times, and the area that you go into, it is so rugged, and I mean it's a hell of a hike. It's miles in, and you're going through a really tough terrain. A lot of the forestry there is just thick, thousands of acres of thick pines, and a lot of thick brush. So it's a hell of a trip, trust me. So finally, we got to one point, we said, well, now we're going to finish this off. So we're going to go all the way. We're going to go as far as we can go. And so we headed out on that one particular day. Now, you can drive a vehicle to a little bit of a distance, not much. Probably, I think you could drive in at probably about a half a mile. That's about it. Park it, get up, get your gear. The rest you hike in. Now, this time we went further than we ever have. And about that time we had been hiking for about, I'd say 3 or 4 hours. And then finally we found it. We broke through the trail and we got to this one area. And you had to go up this little bit of a ridge. Once you got on top of the ridge, now it's flat, and I'm telling you what we saw blew our minds. Once we got on top of that ridge and walked in to the camp itself with the area which is Last Chance, all the mining equipment that they used in that time period, in 1851, was still there, and I mean, and it was intact. Everything that they had used in that time period to mine for gold, to collect it, they had there was what they called a hopper that they would drop all the ore in, and it would break all the ore up, break it down, and then it goes to the bottom and crushes it. Then it comes out through another end. They run through water, and that's when they separate the gold from the ore and collect the gold. And they had all this equipment there. It was like if you had just broke brush and you walked through and you walked right into a frickin' museum. You understand what I'm saying? It was mind blowing. We couldn't believe it. And as we studied the equipment, we studied the area. BG had one big question: what happened here? Why did it didn't last but a short period of time, but everybody just disappeared? They just left the area. I tried to find some literature on it. Nothing was ever written up on it. They just packed it and left, and just left everything intact. And so you gotta ask yourself, why would you leave all that expensive equipment? I mean, back in that time period, it cost them thousands of dollars. In money in our time would have been, hundreds of thousands, millions. Why would you have left all that equipment there? Why? It was a big question. No answer. I kind of think, and me and Garner discussed that, and so did he, that we came to the conclusion that I think that that large group of the hominin hybrids had something to do with it. For some odd reason, in our own research, we have always connected these guys up in that area where there's gold at every stinking turn. This was no exception. So, we decided, let's go a little deeper, see what else we can uncover. Maybe we'll come across the reason why. So, we grabbed our gear and we continued our trek. So now we hiked in past the miners' camp. We went in about another 3 or 4 miles. So now we're in probably about 10 miles. There has not been a human being in that area since the 1850s. I am not kidding. And when we got to this one area, and once we broke through the pine, once we broke through the pine line, the tree line, and it opened up, and there was like you're looking down, like almost like a little valley, but it was like a very large meadow, just beautiful meadow, and all surrounded with a massive tree line of really thick pines. And me and Garner looked and said, man, this is fantastic. I mean, we can't believe what we're looking at. It was just absolutely beautiful, untouched. And we started studying the area, and so now we're doing our research. So we split up. I'm covering one area, he's covering another. We found some evidence that yes, these hybrids have been there. Now the question was, do they just travel through, or do they actually dwell in this area? And then we came across on this one piece of flat ground, and we looked at it at first, we go, what's this? And as we got up to it, and it was a mine shaft. Now, when we looked at the mine shaft and we studied the outer perimeter of it, we could see there has been movement around it. And we both peered down, looking down at the mine shaft, and it was a deep SOB, I'll tell you that. We could also hear water running through down there. So that told us that's down deep, and the aspects of subterranean. Now, I've always told you that these cryptid creatures, they live under the ground, not on the surface. They live in subterranean environment. I'm telling you that right now. I don't know why the guys that do research, the people that do, they're always on the surface. It just makes no sense to me. And they're always chasing them. So, which you're going to come out empty-handed every time. I'm sorry, that's just the name of the game. And we knew for a fact that this mine shaft has been in use. Now, I'll come up with a conclusion. I think this is where they're dwelling. There is no ifs or buts about it. I'm absolutely 100% positive at that time. And And you would think, being out there in the middle of frickin' nowhere, where no sign of any human that has been there since that time period, that we would actually come across what I'm about ready to tell you. Now, G asked me, he says, Danny, says, going to set up the trail cams here? I go, yeah. We'll set them up in a particular tactical manner, so we can cover a certain area with our cameras. And then of course we were going to put one up that would cover the mine shaft, and one off to the left, another one off to the right. So basically we have it all in a circumference. So whatever is around that area, any one of these cameras are going to catch it. Okay? And just when we were ready to hang a cam up, and Garland looked at me and he said, Danny, he goes, you better come over here. You got to check this out. I said, what's up, G? So I went over to him, and he pointed like that, and he pointed to this tree. And he says, what do you see on that tree? He goes, you see like a little black box on there that appears to look like a black box? And I says, yeah, I do. In fact, it looks like it's got a strap on it too. He says, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He goes, let's go check it out. He goes, what the hell is that doing here? And so what we did is we went around, came around the backside, see? That way there you're not in front of the camera whatsoever. And as we came to the backside, and then we were looking, we said, yeah, it's a camera all right, no doubt about it. And Garland went up to it from the backside, and he was looking on the side of the box, and he was like, whoa. And he went like this, come here, Dan, come here, come here. So I came up from the same position where Garland did, and he looked at me, he says, read what's on the side of that box. It'll blow your mind. And I go, no shit? Yeah, he goes, read it. So I got up there and I was reading on the side of the box, and I'll be a S-O-B. You know what it said on it? Property of the U.S. government. Now, you gotta ask yourself, what in the hell would that camera be doing out in the middle of frickin' nowhere that human beings really don't even go there? And we know, and there's that mine shaft, and we know that mine shaft's being used. We also picked up some evidence in that area that I knew it was being used. And also the information that I had read up on of the very large group that has lived in that vicinity for a hell of a long time, even during the gold rush days. So, I would suggest to you that the camera was there for one reason only, because yes, they knew they were there too. They were studying them. Okay? So, if they believe they exist, because they know they do, I know they exist because I have seen them my own self many times. I've had interactions with them many times. Garland and me both. Even Toby. Jason's been with us out there. A friend of Toby's. He's experienced them. So, but not in this area. We never did take them guys to this one area. It's kind of a, you go there a few times, man, and you just want to wrap that up, you know what I'm saying? It's a hell of a lot of work. But yet, we covered what needed to be covered. We continued the project, and we came right to the ending of the project, and yes, we confirmed it. I confirmed it. Yes, they were there. I believe that it is members that have been reproduced from the large group from that time period back in the 19th century. Okay? And to this day, they're still there to this day. So, like I said, the government does have, they have their 2 cents in the program, let's just put it that way. And for what reasons? Well, you can guess. I would say they've got a pretty good list on their reasons, okay? And I would also suggest that they wouldn't be all those kind of good reasons, if you feel my drift. Now, before I let you go, there was another piece of information that would show, that tell you absolute proof that that large group did exist in that area. In the winter of 1966 through 1967 was a historic winter. We had a heck of snowfall, and I mean a hell of a lot of snowfall, and a lot of rains. So when the meltdown season came, when all the snow melted, and of course it comes from the highest part of the Sierra Mountains of the Cascade, and it all flows downhill, right? Well, it covers almost, it flows down all the way, it almost covers the whole damn Cascades. It actually will go right into Southern California. That is a fact. And it's traveled that way because it goes by many of links of creeks, rivers, and streams that they all flow into each other, okay? And it drops right into the ocean. One goes down LA, it ends up in the ocean. The one over by the Tahoe area, that goes right into the ocean via the Sacramento River, into the Delta, okay? Anyway, that year, that winter, it was a historic flood. The North Fork, South Fork, Middle Fork, they all flooded. The 3 forks all meet into one fork, called the American River, okay? American River goes right down in through Placer County, and out of, and of course, up to the river, Sacramento River, out to the ocean. There's a particular place that, there's one place that they called Hellhole, or the Devil's Pit. Why they call that? Because it's infested with rattlesnake. I'm telling you right now, it's the only area I know in the Sierra Mountains that has got more infestation of rattlesnakes in the whole Cascade put together. I am not joking. Now, just above that is where that large group, the main group, existed at. And what happened, and there was some witnesses that were what you would call the modern day miner. And they were breaking camp because of the banks overflood. They were trying to get the hell out of Dodge, so to speak, get to safety. And when they came down, it wiped everything out. And they said that it hit the area where this large group of these hominid hybrids were living and been there for millenniums. And they believed that it wiped them all out, killed them all. But it didn't. When everything receded, the summer, and the summer going into fall of 67, not to mention in 67 is the same time period where Roger Patterson filmed Patty, the Patterson film. That was off the Trinity, okay? Well, in that year of the winter, 66 or 67, the Trinity was affected by the historic flood. In fact, when they were filming the Patty film, you could actually still see the debris when the waters all receded. The debris was left over from the flood, okay? So, and that's all factual, that's true. You see, and these are things you don't know. Okay, why? Because you were never told. Now you know. So, I hope you like this one. I just wanted to let you know that, yes, if you want to get that deep into the research like Garland and I have throughout the years. Now, I've been doing this now for 15 years on the books, okay? I got a lot of experience in this. And where I'm at right now is the first time that I've actually got to break away where I don't feel like I'm being followed or spied on anymore. Okay? And but one thing I know for sure, for whatever I've been researching in this area, they're definitely more interested in the other part of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Okay? They are more interested in that. And the other reason is, I know because of the hot UFO activity. This part of the Sierra Mountains I'm at now, by Mount Lassen, is a hot spot for UFO activity. As a matter of fact, before I let you go, I observed 2 of them last night, around 10 to 10:15 p.m. last night. I was fooling around with my infrared camera, and I was setting it and all this. So I went out on my front deck, and I went out to the same area I always look at, and I'm observing up the sky. I caught one higher up. It was a high elevation, and they're all heading the same way. They're going right over the Sierra Mountains, over into Nevada, over into the desert. And they always fly by Mount Lassen, coming from the west. And he was up at a high altitude, and he was flying like this. So, that was a manned craft. Something was manning it, controlling it. And I observed that for about, as I was observing that, and I was watching it for, probably about a minute, about a good minute. And I had my camera in my hands, and I said, that's too far up. My camera can't get it. So about that time, I'm looking again, and another one pops in. Now he was at a lower elevation. I could see him with crystal clarity. He was probably around, I would say between 8,000 feet altitude. He wasn't